Hello everyone, Helene here and back with part 2, finishing up our Sunny Cove brimmed, wire-free and packable sun hat. We finished with the band in part 1. Now we're going to pick up with the brim, get that done, and then I'll show you how to work that optional adjustable self-cinch tie. If you're seeing this hat for the first time, the link to part 1 is in the drop-down description section, along with a timestamp for this tutorial and a link to my Etsy shop for the written pattern. Okay, and now we're going to begin our brim, starting with a clean board. Erase the board, clean slate here. Again, around 1. Now if you've been using the H 5mm hook, set that aside far away so you don't accidentally pick it up, and everyone pick up your G 4mm hook. Okay, but we're just going to use the 4mm for round 1 of the brim only, and then we're going to finish up with the F 3.75mm hook. Okay. And because I'm going to change yarn colors, you can work yours whatever color you like. And as before, now I'm going to insert my hook into the top of my beginning single crochet, and as before, bring my new yarn through and then through the loop on my hook, just like I did tying it off. I will do that too. Okay, so now I'm going to chain. I chain 1, I did already. Chain 1, lock that in, and then I'm going to just tie my little square knot left over right, right over left, leaving just a little space between my knot and my work like I did before. And now we are going to be working in the front loops only for this round only, and that will cause the round will be working to turn upward towards you and help keep that nice popped up brim shape. Okay, so into the same beginning single crochet into the front loop, the loop closest to you, work a single crochet and 1 single crochet in the front loop of each remaining stitch all the way around. Okay, don't work that tight either, okay, but 1 single crochet in the front loop only around, and again you will have 72 single crochets this time. Double count your stitches too. It's very important. But as we go and our work grows, if for some reason you get off a stitch or two, and I'll tell you how you can make that up, plus or minus 1 when we get there. Okay, so I will see you back around. I'm back at the end of round 1 of our brim. Okay, so now take your G hook, set that far, far away. Grab your F 3.75mm hook. Okay, and continue on for round 2. Here we go. Now we'll work into both loops of every stitch, the full stitch all the way around for every round throughout the rest of the hat. Okay, so insert your hook into your beginning single crochet and slip stitch. Chain 1, single crochet into that same beginning stitch. Don't accidentally miss that. Again, it's a little tight. Fit it in there and have your stitch marker handy. You will need it now up until the very last round. Okay, place 1 single crochet in each of the next 4. Two single crochets in the next. We will be doing a series of increasing to get the width of the brim. Okay, now place your stitch marker in that beginning single crochet, All right, so now your repeat will be 1 single crochet in each of the next 5. Two single crochets in the next. Okay, that's your repeat all the way around. 1 single crochet in each of the next 5. Two single crochets in the next. Okay, repeat that all the way around. And you will have 2, you will end with the 2 single crochets in your last single crochet, and at the end of round 2 you will have 84 single crochets. So with each increase round that we do, they will not be for every single round of the entire brim, but for each increase round you will be increasing by 12 stitches. And if you wind up with your count, I mean, like after the first couple of rounds, you can pull back if you find where you missed that. Excuse me, where maybe you put 2 stitches into one by accident, if you have too many, because we're working into small spaces here, or if you accidentally missed one and you're one short. For your first couple of rounds, I would go back and see if you can find that mistake and correct it. But as the work grows and grows and you wind up with over 100 stitches, well over 100 by the time that we're done, that if your stitch count becomes off by 1 or 2, then just pull back a little. And if you have like 1 too many, then single crochet 2 together to correct that and have the right stitch count. Or if you come up 1 short or 2 short, 1 short, you can just put an extra single crochet into any one of the stitches, but if you have 2, I would pull back somewhere and just have those evenly spaced apart. Okay, so if you need to single crochet 2 together and don't know how to do that, you just insert your hook into 1 stitch, pull up a loop, insert your hook into the next stitch, pull up a loop. You'll have 3 on your hook, yarn over, pull through all 3. Okay, that's all you do, and that will be a decrease and hopefully give you the correct stitch count. All right, because for the border it's in multiples of 3. We need to maintain that for the border and also to create good balance for the brim. All right, so I will see you back around. 84 single crochets. Now for round 3 of our brim. Okay, you can see how that, by working in the front loops, how that just naturally causes it to pop up a little bit. Hopefully you can see that. All right, so now for round 3, another increase round. Slip stitch into your beginning single crochet, but do not chain 1 this time. And by not chaining 1, create some more seamless join. And the next round will work in 1 continuous round. That way there are no gap spaces and no visible jog that goes up your work. Okay, everything's nice and seamless. Okay, so now we're going to work back into that same beginning stitch with a single crochet. Place your stitch marker. Don't forget, it's going to be really important from this point forward, because you will not be able to see where your stitches begin and end. Okay, so you have 1 single crochet in the beginning stitch, and now you will place 1 in each of the next 5 this time. And 2 single crochets in the next. Okay, and now your repeat will be 1 single crochet in each of the next 6. 2 single crochets in the next. Okay, so that is your repeat. 1 single crochet in each of the next 6, 2 single crochets in the next. Repeat that all the way around, and at the end of round 3 you should have 96 single crochets, and I will see you there. And at the end of round 3, again 96 single crochets. Now we're going to start working in one continuous round, beginning with round 4. So we're not going to slip stitch this time, but work directly into that first single crochet, and do not accidentally work into the little slip stitch next to it. Alright, so for round 4 you will place 1 single crochet into that beginning single crochet and place your stitch marker. It's very important going forward because your work now is going to be flush all the way around with no visual height difference between each round. Alright, now 1 single crochet in each of the next 6. Two single crochets in the next. And for round 4, your repeat sequence will be 1 single crochet in each of the next 7, 2 single crochets in the next. Okay, that is your repeat sequence. 1 single crochet in each of the next 7, 2 single crochets in the next, all the way around. Your stitch count for round 4 will be 108 single crochets. At the end of round 4, again 108 single crochets. You can see our brim is starting to get a wavy effect, and we don't want it to be ripply when it's all finished, too heavy, too full. So now to smooth that out a little bit where it needs to be for that brim shape, we are going to work just 1 single crochet in each stitch all the way around, no increases this time, and at the end of round 5 you will have again 108 stitches. Okay, meant to say begin around 5. Here we go. Alright, stitch marker out for a sec, working into that first single crochet, which is close, it's tight, but it's right up next to the last stitch you just worked. Okay, don't accidentally skip that one. Alright, so 1 single crochet, stitch marker back in, keep your placement, and continue with 1 single crochet all the way around. Again, at the end of round 5, you should still have 108 single crochets. The end of round 5, again 108 stitches, and now for round 6, another increase round. Okay, so let's get started. I'll get you started there. We're just going to increase our sequence from our last increase round. So again, 1 single crochet in the beginning single crochet, stitch marker back in, and 1 single crochet in each of the next 7, and 2 single crochets in the next. Alright, and your repeat sequence for this round is 1 single crochet in each of the next 8, and 2 single crochets in the next. All right, so all the way around, 1 single crochet in each of the next 8, 2 single crochets in the next. When you get back around, you will always have the last 2 single crochets in the last stitch of the round. And round 6, you will have 120 single crochets now. Round 7 is a single crochet all the way around, so you repeat what you did on round 5. No increases, you just place 1 single crochet in each round, making sure to put your stitch marker back in the first. And at the end of round 7, you will also have 120 stitches, single crochets, same as you did for round 6. All right, so that's what I'm going to do from this point forward. Where there's an increase round, I'll get you started, and then I'll just tell you, okay, this is just all single crochet around for the next one, and then you can just go ahead with that. Okay, so I will meet you at the end of round 7, and at that point we are already halfway through. All right, see you at the end of round 7. I am back at the end of round 7. Again, 120 single crochets. And now for rounds 8 and 9, we're going to do an increase followed by another all single crochet round. Okay, so to begin, oops, round 8. As before, 1 single crochet in the beginning single crochet, stitchy stitch, stitch marker back in. So now that's 1. We're going to place 1 single crochet in each of the next 8 now. There's 4. And as before, 2 single crochets in the next. And your repeat sequence for round 8 is 1 single crochet in each of the next 9. And 2 single crochets in the next. Okay, that is your repeat for round 8. 1 single crochet in each of the next 9, 2 single crochets in the next. At the end of round 8, you will have 132 single crochets. And when you come back around for round 9, 1 single crochet in each single crochet around, and again you will have 132 single crochets. Phew! I will see you at the end of round 9. We're moving along. I'm at the end of round 9, finished my all single crochet round, 132 stitches. Yay, I am right on track with that. I hope you are too. And now for rounds 10 and 11, that will be for everyone, regardless of the type of yarn you are using. So for round 10, we shall begin. We are working an increase round for this one. So place 1 single crochet in that beginning single crochet of the round. Place your stitch marker back in. And now 1 more single crochet in each of the next 9. Okay, there's the 9th, and as always 2 single crochets in the next. And our repeat for this round is 1 single crochet in each of the next 10. And here comes my 10th, and 2 single crochets in the next. All right, that is your repeat all the way around. 1 single crochet in each of the next 10, 2 single crochets in the next. As always, you will finish with your last with 2 single crochets in that stitch. Round 10, you will have 144 single crochets, 144. All right, and then round 11 is 1 single crochet all the way around, and you will still have that same number, 144 single crochets. I will meet you at the end of round 11, and then we'll go on to round 12, and I'll tell you about the little adjustments that you can do if you are working with a little bit of a thicker yarn that we talked about earlier. I have finished round 11, all single crochet, 144 stitches. So now here's where you have some flexibility, you can change things up again. We have 3 more rounds as the pattern is written, 12, 13, and 14, and then our final border round, round 15. If you are working a lighter weight yarn, then as the pattern is written, you should be fine working all the rest of the rounds. 12 is an increase, round 12. 13 is an all single crochet. Round 14 is an increase. You should be fine with that. If you are working a little heavier, a little thicker yarn, such as the Hobby Lobby I Love This Cotton with the yardage that I told you about, okay, then you will need to adjust within any 3 of these rounds. So you have flexibility within that too. So what I did for this hat is I worked rounds 12 and 13 in all single crochet. I did no more increases, and I skipped round 14 altogether. And one way to determine that is you really do not want your brim any more than 3 inches wide. And you want to make sure that you are not measuring the band but the brim only. It's a little harder to tell in a solid color, but because we did that first round in the front loop only that popped it back, all you do is fold it, and you will see of the seam, the ridge here where your band ends and your brim begins. So you just measure, but this did go a little bit over, just slightly, maybe 1/8 inch over. So that's what I did there. Again, to recap, rounds 12 and 13 all single crochet. I skipped 14 and then went right to round 15 for the border. Or you can do round 12 and skip 13 and 14 and then go to round 15. Okay, hope this is making sense. Take notes, rewind if you need to. Alright, so for round 12, as before, you begin with 1 single crochet in the first, and then we're going to place 1 single crochet in each of the next 10 now. Okay. And now 2 in the next. In the next set, you'll repeat sequence all the way around. 1 single crochet in each of the next 11. And 2 single crochets in the next. Okay, repeat all around. 1 in each of the next 11, 2 in the next. At the end of round 12, you will have 156 stitches. 156, okay? And then round 13 for everyone is 1 single crochet in each stitch around. Again, you will have 156 stitches after round 13. That is, if you worked round 12 with the increases. Now, if you worked round 12 with all single crochet instead, then your final stitch count after round 13 will be that of round 11 with 144 single crochets. I'm back. Here we are, end of round 13. Okay. All single crochets, 156 stitches. This is a good place to try your hat on again, and even though mine is smooth laying flat for the most part, that you can see it still has some ripple going on, and trying that on really helps for you to tell. So see right there, all that ripple. So this shows me for a wire-free brimmed hat, there's already enough fullness in there. So instead of my round 14 as an increase round, I'm going to do all single crochet instead. And then round 15, we'll finish that off, smoothing it out, giving it the structure that it needs to hold its shape. So for round 14, those of you who want to add that final increase in, it's 1 single crochet, okay, in the first as always, and then 1 in each of the next 11, so for a total of 12 including the beginning, and then 2 single crochets in the next, 1 single crochet in each of the next 12, 2 in the next, 1 in each of the next 12, 2 in the next, all the way around, and then your total will be 168 single crochets. The main thing is that you wind up with a number that is divisible by 3 for that final border round. Divides evenly by 3. So like I said earlier, if you are off by 1 plus or minus, you can either crochet 2 together or add an extra single crochet, put 2 into 1 stitch somewhere along the way. And then we will all add the final border row on together, and that will be the same for everyone. And now for our final border round, number 15. I'm going to change colors, going back to the Lilac Mist, the solid, for my final border round. You can do yours in whatever you like. Okay, we're going to do it a little bit different this time. If you are changing colors, instead of slip stitching into the next stitch and bringing yarn through, take out the last single crochet of the round you just completed, start your single crochet, insert your hook, pull up the loop and stop. You have the 2 loops on your hook, and now I'm going to bring the new yarn through those 2 loops. So now you're beginning with the new color. Okay, and then I'm going to do my square knot just like I did before. Then to begin my first set, we're going to create some mini shells, and I'm going to crochet right over those, and it's going to tuck that knot and that bit of slack of that yarn right in there. Okay, so now we want to slip stitch. Okay, slip stitch into the next stitch of the new round, chain 1, work all into the same beginning stitch, 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, and 1 single crochet, all into that same stitch. And we're working in sets of 3 stitches, so you will skip the next 2, and in the next, the 3rd stitch over, again work 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, and 1 single crochet, all into that same stitch. And that is going to be your repeat all the way around. Skip the next 2 single crochets in the next, 1 single crochet, 1 half double crochet, 1 single, skip 2 in the next, single crochet, half double, and single. And that is it all the way around. And when you come back around, that last set of 3 stitches for your mini shell will be in that third single crochet before your last stitch. So you'll have your single, half double, single in this third stitch, and you'll have 2 single crochets left. And one thing to look for as you are working your mini shell stitch all the way around is that your brim should start to curve up just a little bit. That's exactly what you want to maintain that structure and shape when you wear it. So hopefully you can see that. At the end of round 15, that one seems to go by a little more quickly. And now to join, skip the next 2 single crochets, the last 2, and instead of slip stitching into that beginning single crochet, we're going to slip stitch right underneath that beginning slip stitch to join, and that creates a continuous line of this solid color that we changed to. Okay, and if you want, you may yarn over, make a little knot, cinch that down tight though, and then when you sew in your ends, just bring it to the back and tuck that in really well so it folds over. But instead of having that little extra lump there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut my yarn without the knot, bring it up, and that way I can cinch that last slip stitch down, and I can go underneath, little slip stitch to the left, bring that through, okay, and that creates a really nice join that is very consistent with all the rest of the other stitches. Okay, and the first one of the round, the first stitch, it's a little bit thicker because you have that chain 1, but it isn't super noticeable. I mean, to me, like, the maker's always going to be the one who notices that the most. And then now with the stitch marker, I'm going to make this the back of my hat, and where I'll put the tie for my cinch tie. Okay, just a little marker there that can land in the back. You just go ahead and sew in your ends, and then somewhere along the way I will just make a little knot in there, and then again bury that really well. And now it is time to add the optional self cinch tie, and this is the same way as I worked it with my Sure Thing bucket hat. Okay, so I've marked the back of it, that's where I'm going to start it, and then now that I've sewed in most of my ends and tried the hat on, because this yarn definitely is softer, has more drape, but doesn't hold the shape and structure as much for the cap as some of the others, but yeah, it works enough for me, and I really like the softness of this and the lightness too. But I did use the H5mm for the band. I definitely could have gone down to the 4mm G-hook, but that is where the self cinch tie can also come into play. And I recommend if you're going with a yarn, you could do an I-cord or whatever you want, but I like just doing a chain because it doesn't add bulk and it lays nice and flat as you're going in and out, and it just looks really good when it's finished. This is the Bernat Maker Home Decor yarn. I've had this for a while. I still have plenty of it, so I keep using it up for my cords because they make really nice ones with one strand. And I used a J 6mm hook. Keep your stitches close together without gaps, but not too tight. You don't want them bunched up and deformed looking. So just nice and even, consistent, and I suggest you can just place it wherever you mark the back, and making a chain long enough to go around. Just will be right up next to the band at the bottom of the cap up to the band, and going around twice, because take up a lot of that slack going in and out. And then if you want to have a bow, and depending how long you want the ends, but when you make your chain, don't cut your yarn, leave the working end with your loop attached and put that at the bottom, and then you feed it through with the tail end, so that way if you need more or less length you can add or easily take it out. And then when you start your chain, leave a good amount of yarn, so that way if you do want to add the beads, you can either leave a tail end if you want to and just cut it however much tail, or you can sew the tails in like I usually do. And I like the two ends to come out of the center back between the two double crochets of the shell. And if I start in the center, it doesn't come out evenly just because of the stitch count of these. So what I'm going to do, just to even the two sides up so they're more symmetrical, on my very beginning shell, instead of taking my yarn needle and going down the center, I'm going to go in between the two double crochets just for this very first one. Okay, so just down and up through the space between the shells, and then I'm going to go down in between the double crochets now of the next shell and all the way around. Okay, so and then up again in the space between the shells. You can feed that through by hand if you want. You can feed that through with your yarn needle. That is entirely up to you. All right, and I just go a little bit at a time. And I just leave where I think that's going to be enough length at the end to tie a bow, and then maybe have a little bit of cord, braid, chain going down at the bottom. Your chain very well may twist, and that's why I like just doing a little bit of it at a time, because it helps keep it smooth. But you can just flatten it, twist, retwist it back into shape, and flatten it out as you go. Okay. And I pulled this ribbon also. I think that looks really nice too. But I'm going to go with the cord, even though this is more off-white. I think it still works. Back around to the back of my hat where I started. And now I'm going to go in between the two double crochets to the right of the shell and then come up in the center. Now I'm just going to see how much I have if I make a bow, and I think that might work out pretty well once I even up the sides. Maybe just add a couple of more chains to that. I have more length on one side than I do the other, so I'm just going to pull that about halfway so that the slack, pull that through, and then that slack will add to the length of my cord on the other side. Hopefully that'll be just about right. You know, might have to fiddle with that a couple of times, time or two. Okay, and I like to leave that just a little, I wouldn't say loose, but I don't want my cord tight to start. Just make sure it's just nice and flat all the way around. Once they are even, you think you have a good length on that, go ahead and cut your other end. Doesn't have to be exactly the same. You can always even those up again later. Okay, and pull your loop through, not that. That looks pretty good. There we go, and I have just enough coming down to the bottom of my hat. It's about where I want that. I did one when I thought the camera was on, but it was not, so here we go for the second one. Okay, first I'm going to take that same large hole needle, large eye needle, feed my bead through it. It slides on real easy that way. Now slide my bead up a little bit over the knot and over the first chain or two, just to give myself a little bit of room, but be careful, you don't want to pull too hard, overstretch your chain. Alright, so now just make two overhand knots. Just go over your existing tail end knot and hold the yarn down below the knot with your finger, okay? That way, when you close it down, take your time with that. The knot, do that slowly, a little bit at a time, trying to show you without my thumb in the way. You just want to make sure to keep the loop of your knot over the top of your tail end knot. So there we go. When you close it, now your new knot is below your original knot, and that's what you'll do again for your second overhand knot. Okay, so hold onto the knot, guide your yarn just below your knot. It's much easier on the second time around, but still take your time with it. Okay, there we go. Okay, now you can slide your bead back down and make sure that it does not go sliding off. And then I'm taking a smaller yarn needle, because now I have that big bulk at the end, that ball, kind of a ball knot type of thing. Okay, and I'm going to go through the loop, around the little loop next to it, and through. So not in the same direction of where my tail end came, but around it, and that's just going to make it a little extra secure. And I have to be careful with this yarn because it splits really easy. The yarn needle, the end of it goes through very, very easily, and I don't want to snag that. Okay, so now picking another loop below. Okay, go through the loop. And then now down, or rather up into my bead. Okay, and through. Okay. That secures that knot really, really well. Be careful again, go through one side of the end of your cord and go back down through your bead. Bring your bead up a bit if you need to. I'm just being extra careful because of this yarn. There, that secures it from the top to bottom, and I pull it through the chain above my knot so that when I cut, I just leave just a tiny little bit there and bring my bead back down, and it's nice and tight, secured. I'll double check the length, even it up, or sometimes they look good, you know, if they're offset a little bit. So you adjust yours however you like it. I would try it on your head, you know, make your adjustments and then tie it off. But there you go, just wanted to show you that, how that looks at the end. Okay, we did it. Another project completed, and in my case, a half a dozen of them. Oh, I tell you, I sure worked hard on this one, and I really hope you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun making it and being with you here today, as always. Take good care, everyone. Hope to see you again next time, and until then, toodles for now.